This is topic C on page 184, checking accessibility.
Another quality check you should perform before publishing a Word document, particularly if you will be releasing the document in digital form, is to check its accessibility. So people with visual and cognitive disabilities can use supplemental applications to read content that is usually displayed on a computer screen. Documents can be confusing to the reader application if the layout doesn't meet the standard layout the reader expects. Also, readers don't know how to handle images, charts, and some tables. Using attributes on those document components, you can add alternative text the reader reads to the user to give them a sense of what the image or chart shows. This information can be particularly helpful to many users, particularly if you plan to publish your information on the web. So alternative text is displayed when the user positions the mouse pointer over an image or other object in a Word document. For individuals using screen readers, the alternative text is read so that the user hears a description for the image or object. Alternative text is also known as alt text. It can be defined as a property of any of these objects in a document. Images, including pictures and clip art, charts, tables, shapes that are not included in a group and that do not contain text, smart art graphics, embedded objects, links, video and audio files, and grouped objects. So what it's saying, people with disabilities have different computer programs that can actually read the text out loud to them. So people with maybe visual impairments or hearing impairments, maybe they need, the audio to be much louder, they can read that out to the computer user. So it would read this paragraph of text, which is fine because you have word for word, what it actually is there. But once it gets to an image like this, the screen reader would not know what to tell the user. So it might think it's the end of the document. It might completely skip over it and just continue with the text. But this picture could be very important to the actual textual information. Or it could be a chart. It could be a table with additional information. So it's important to have something that we call alternative text added to these different objects, your pictures, your charts, your tables. And to do that, you go up to your Picture Tools Format Contextual tab, or again, whatever contextual tab you have for your object. In the Size command group, I can hit my dialog box launcher, and let's see, might not even be on this one. Oh, here we go. You actually want to right click and select Format Picture for this one. It's different in all the different Microsoft programs, so I get a little sidetracked here. You have 4 icons at the top here. You want to select your Layout and Properties icon, which is a little square with arrows in it. And then here you have Alt Text, which you can expand. So you would put a title like television, and then you can have a description. Image of older television, blah, 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 blah. Whatever you want the user to know here. Or chart depicting blah, blah, blah information. Or table, yada, yada, yada. But when the screen reader, you don't even have to save it. You can just close out of it and it saves that text. But when the screen reader would get to this, then it would read title, television. This is an older television depicted to tell you such and such information. And then once it read all that descriptive text, it could continue on with the rest there. All right, so that's the importance of alternative or alt text. Now, in Word, we have something called an accessibility checker. A new feature in the Office 2016 products is your accessibility checker. This tool checks documents for anything in your document that would be a challenge for a disabled user to access. The checker flags issues as either an error, a warning, or a tip. Errors indicate that the content in the file would be difficult or impossible for a disabled person to understand. Items flagged as warnings would be difficult for most disabled persons to understand. And items flagged as tips can most likely be understood by a disabled person, but you might be able to present it in a better way or organize the information in a different way to make it more understandable by disabled people. So obviously I put the alternative text in there already. I'm going to go ahead and remove that just to show you how the accessibility checker will work. So let's say I was checking my document to see how well it would be if presented to, a user with a disability. I would go up to my File tab, and on my info page, my Backstage view, here I have a button, Check for Issues, and I'm going to choose Check Accessibility. This is going to open up a task pane to the right here, and it's going to scan my document and see if there's any, type of objects that would be hard for a screen reader to capture and tell the user. So you can see under the heading Missing Alternative Text, it tells me picture 1 is. So if I had multiple pictures here that were missing alternative text, they would all come up under this heading. And I could just click on it, and you can see it automatically selects that picture for me. Now down at the bottom of the task pane, when you select something, it's going to tell you why you should fix it. So it says alternative text helps readers understand information presented in pictures and other objects. And then, it's really nice, it tells you exactly how to pick that. It says to add alternative text to a picture or object, right-click on the object, so exactly what we did before, select Format Picture, then you want to hit your size and properties, actually change to layout and properties, and you're going to type a title and description. So as soon as I start typing here, we'll do television. As soon as I update my description, you can see my accessibility checker is automatically updated as well. So again, I don't have to save it here. I can close it out. And once it updates my results, because it knows that I added that alt text, I should have no problems as far as accessibility goes in this document. So you can see no accessibility issues found. People with disabilities should not have difficulty reading this document. So when you're creating documents, with different objects, pictures, charts, tables, smart art graphics, video, audio, under the 504 plan, you should have that accessible to users with disabilities. So, you may be in the working world and you want to make sure that these documents are accessible to everybody. You may be publishing documents on the web. Make sure you run it through that accessibility checker beforehand. You never know whose hands it might fall into and how important it might be to show that you, again, made this accessible for anybody and everybody to be able to understand. So very important. All right, you'll fix a few.
Our next video will be activity 8.4 on page 187.